Welcome, dear friends, to our full moon ceremony. Tonight we celebrate the moon in the sign of Taurus and the sun in the sign of Aries. And instead of our usual alignment, I'd like to begin with a poem by Anne Lamott. Again, I rest my hand above my heart and feel how naturally the body softens. How simple it is in this moment to forgive myself for thinking I should be anything but what I am. Hello, air that fills this body. Hello, life that pulses through. Hello, mystery of gentling. Hello, self who would resist. I rest my hand above my heart and think of how for many years my teacher laid her teachings exactly there. Place them right where my hand is now, so that when my heart broke, the teachings fell in, just as the rabbi once said they would. I think of how it saved me, this falling in, how in that terrible breaking moment, what had been understood only by the head became blood, became breath, became every step and every unstep, became nerve and bone, became true. I rest my hand above my heart and feel how this too is the tenderest of teachings, to say yes to the body, to ask nothing of it, to feel in the palm the miracle of the heartbeat and fall in, fall all the way in. So let's allow ourselves to fall all the way in to our ceremony tonight, opening our hearts and letting the words fall in. I'd like to begin by speaking for a few minutes about cycles. All of life is attuned to the rhythm of cycles, and the planets move in concert with these cycles. Every month, we see the alignment of the sun, moon, and earth with a particular constellation in the sky. At the exact moment of that alignment, we have the powerful full moon, where the highest potency of spiritual energies become available to us. Within the yearly cycle, we also have months where the energies are at their most powerful. The first 3 months of the zodiacal year are April, May, and June. They correspond to the first 3 signs of the zodiac: Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. These are said to be the months when we can invoke and receive the most potent energy of the year. These 3 full moons are called the 3 festivals of spring. We celebrate the festival of Easter at the Aries full moon. The Wesak festival occurs at the full moon in Taurus. And the 3rd festival is called the Festival of Goodwill and is celebrated at the full moon in Gemini. The full moon in Aries inaugurates the festival of Easter and the beginning of a new yearly cycle of creative possibilities. This time of year is celebrated in many ancient traditions as a time of renewal and resurrection. This festival celebrates that spirit. It is springtime, and all of nature is in a state of expansion, regeneration, and emergence. Life is bursting forth. This is the time to bring forth the visions that may have been germinating during the long days of winter. Renewal, rebirth, resurrection are the key words with this energy. We are asked to resurrect that which is dormant within ourselves, that which is in need of a new life. Resurrection, as esotericists define it, is not related to the raising of the dead, but it does represent the passage from self-absorption to the life of unselfish love. The transition from the darkness of individualism and separateness to the light of the spirit, from falsehood to truth, from slavery of the world to the liberty of the eternal. Alice Bailey, in her book, From Bethlehem to Calvary, says this, quote, "The journey from darkness to light, from the imprisonment of the body to the state of pure being, is the path of resurrection. It is not a one-time happening of the physical body arising from the grave, but it is continually the potential of each hour, each minute, to be born anew, to move on, to let go of the past and choose the future. After the quiet of winter, where the earth was dormant, Aries springs forth, bringing new hope, new life, and invigorating all the kingdoms of nature." End quote. Our purpose in this path of resurrection is to raise up our physical nature to the spiritual realms. We use the fiery, dynamic energy of Aries to shatter, purify, and cleanse the old crystallized forms. Thus we are redeemed, we are lifted up and renewed. An ancient mantra speaks of this process very beautifully. I am the soul, and also love I am. Above all else, I am both will and fixed design. My will is now to lift the lower self into the light divine. This light I am. Therefore, I must descend to where the lower self awaits my coming. That which desires to lift, the soul, and that which cries out for lifting, the personality, are now at one. Such is my will. This is redemption. This is resurrection. And the fiery will that can burn away all obstructions to this union. With this shattering, we are left spacious and empty. And only then are we filled with a spirit of livingness and vitality. I'd like to share another poem with you that's a favorite of mine, and I read it every time this time of year. It welcomes springtime. It's called Spring Cleaning by Miriam Dayak. It's time for tulips, worms, resurrection. The tulips open and close, like breathing wings, testing the possibility of spring. It's time for dawn to lick out the last of that rich, dark bowl of night and bleed her own colors into the world. Branches that were bare just last week shoot volleys of blossoms in the sun, and green wood on the apple tree takes off like an arrow into the sky. Even old beams in the house begin to softly sing of leaves and the fresh arc of wind. Time to take a spade and shove sharply with your heel in its old rubber boot. Turn over your life. See what's survived. Shake out the bugs. Get some air in the roots. Throw out piles of papers, unfinished project like layers of old mulch. In the morning, your heart is still a cupped leaf holding dew. If you can match that stillness and look into the sweet water of your own heart, you may catch the wild promise, a goddess just waking the magic of your own rebirth. End quote. So I wonder what that would mean to turn over your life, to imagine your own rebirth. I wonder what that would look like for you. And now this from Heidi Robbins. What feels like spring in you? What feels young, even amidst physical aging and emotional fatigue? Is anyone feeling emotional fatigue these days? What feels young and hopeful and willingly innocent? Embrace the tiniest spark of spring and kindle the flame. Let your first Aries gestures be almost imperceptible to others, but huge for yourself. Wake up 5 minutes earlier, meditate, sprint for 10 seconds, fill a page with your words, walk around the block slowly and notice every blossom. Take more deep breaths. Drink another glass of water a day. Call someone and go on a spontaneous coffee date. Empty your head of all the to-dos, then choose one or two and do them instead of silently punishing yourself for procrastinating. Move your body, lift your spirits, speak up and out, end quote. Okay, and one more, friends. A Radiance Sutra for spring. The roar of joy that set the worlds in motion is reverberating in your body and the space between all bodies. Beloved, listen, find that exuberant vibration rising new in every moment, humming in your secret places, resounding through the channels of delight. Know you are flooded by it always. Float with the sound. Melt with it into divine silence. The sacred power of space will still carry you into the dancing, radiant emptiness that is the source of all. The ocean of sound is inviting you into its spacious embrace, calling you home. End quote. So before we talk about some of the specific characteristics of Aries, I'd like to remind people that whenever we talk about these signs, we have to remember that there are different levels of energy for each sign. For example, we call the lowest level of energy exoteric because it implies very little, if any, soul contact. It is the personality, the ego, that controls. In other words, the soul has not made an impact on the personality yet, so the expression is usually selfish, only concerned with how it affects him or her. When the soul begins to have an impact on the personality, it's called esoteric because it is the inner voice, the soul, that begins to exert its influence. Now the person acts with more concern for the other. These are words from another astrologer friend of mine, Malvin Artley. We all know the typical Aries type. This would be the exoteric energy. Impulsive, full of life and enthusiasm. Peevish when opposed or frustrated. Great at beginning things, but not known as the best of finishers. Impatient, self-initiating, called the child of the zodiac. Independent, vital, self-centered, inventive, and a constant thinker, though not necessarily a trained or careful one. As with all signs, there is great goodness and extreme pettiness with Aries. People either love them or despise them. But the Aries type will always be memorable in some way, either for their originality or for their sheer novelty value. Most of what we know of the personality expression of Aries comes from its orthodox ruler, exoteric ruler, which is Mars. The Martian Aries type can be extreme in many things that they do, and there's rarely any middle ground with them. Beneath all the bravado and enthusiasm of the Martian Aries, though, lies the keynote of Aries and the very thing that gives the sign all of its energy, the light of life itself. It is hard to be even keeled when one is so full of the very essence of life, is it not? There seldom seems to be any middle ground or balance with the Aries personality. It's a sign known most spectacularly for its self-centeredness. The Aries personality is anything but unified with others on most occasions, unless it suits the need at the time. Above all, however, the Aries has to act. It is never a sign that sits still. It's always involved in some effort, always going against the grain, always on the edge and pushing the envelope. The Aries is always the instigator, always seeking notice for their efforts, always looking for the very thing that will make them unique. In the lower expression of Aries, again, the exoteric expression, their self-initiated effort usually divides them from others as they seek to set themselves apart and show themselves as somehow better than others. In the higher Aries type, esoteric expression, self-initiated effort tends toward eventual union with others, as their efforts are geared more and more toward initiatives that will produce better conditions for the group in which they find themselves, all in response to a sensed idea. Of course, the initial impulse often still comes across as their idea, but at least there is then altruism behind their efforts, instead of the selfish rushing around of the Aries personality, end quote. That's a lot to take in, but don't worry about it. Just let it fall in wherever it wants to land. So let's acknowledge that we are in a time of transition between the old year ending in Pisces and the new astrological year beginning in Aries. John O'Donohue speaks to this transition very eloquently. He says this, quote, "At any time, but I would say, especially at this Aries moment, you can ask yourself, at which threshold am I now standing? At this time in my life, what am I leaving? Where am I about to enter? What is preventing me from crossing my next threshold? What gift would enable me to do it?" A threshold is not a simple boundary. It's a frontier that divides two different territories, rhythms, and atmospheres. Indeed, it is a lovely testimony to the fullness and integrity of an experience or a stage of life that it intensifies toward the end into a real frontier that cannot be crossed without the heart being passionately engaged and woken up. At this threshold, a great complexity of emotion becomes alive: confusion, fear, excitement, sadness, hope. This is one of the reasons such vital crossings were always clothed in ritual. It is wise in your own life to be able to recognize and acknowledge the key thresholds, to take your time, to feel all the varieties of presence that accrue there, to listen inward with complete attention until you hear the inner voice calling you forward. The time has come to cross. End quote. So, my friends, this is our month to cross. So you might want to ponder the Aries energy from this perspective. Let us talk now for a bit about Aries' opposite sign, Libra. Libra's ruler is Venus. So Libra is concerned with partnership, peace, fairness, equality, beauty, and truth. Libra reveals how the balance of our inner masculine and feminine energies influences every aspect of our lives. Aries, with its ruler Mars, requires us to develop courage and the willingness to take a risk and to take a stand when necessary. But where Aries tends to be self-absorbed, Libra is all about relationship. Aries is about me. Libra is about the other. Aries needs to learn to include the other, and Libra needs some of Aries' strong sense of self. Libra needs to declare, "Here I stand." Libra can be indecisive because it's always trying to harmonize. It's sometimes said of this Aries Libra axis, Aries the warrior marries Libra the peacemaker, conquering the self to cooperate with the other. So how do we harmonize these two energies? How do we hold on to that strong, dynamic, and independent personality and still make room for the other? I believe the answer to everything is love. If love permeates your being, you can trust that your intention will be harmless. You can trust that your energy is coming from a loving heart. So don't be fearful of your power, your strength. If your tendency is to shoot first and ask questions later, can you incorporate the practice of pausing, considering, reining in a bit of energy to consider your impact? What happens if at that moment you shine the light of your soul on your impulse? What happens if you just stop and breathe deeply? This is a good practice for all of us these next 3 months as these powerful energies impact us. So this month, let us focus on deepening our spiritual practices. There are many volatile energies happening, many upheavals, potentially more chaos and disruptions. The Aries Libra axis always reminds us that we have to balance initiative, courage, and self-reliance with teamwork, collaboration, and fairness. Where are we being pushed to be more authentic and innovative? Where do we need to renegotiate and rewrite the rules? Where do we need to reclaim our power? So what is being asked of us at this powerful moon? I think we are asked to be open and receptive to this Christ-like love, the Christ within each of us. This festival asks us to celebrate our inherent interconnection, to realize as fully as we can that we are, in truth, never separate from one another. It is a celebration which renews us, connects us, so we may evolve into a brotherhood and sisterhood of nations. This energy does not come to us from anything external. This energy of Christ-like love is inherent in everyone. How do we foster or grow that energy of unconditional love? Through attitudes of goodwill, wishing everyone well, through hearts opening in compassion to others and ourselves, to remind ourselves that everyone is doing the best they can, through sharing what we know and giving what we can. Aries is the Christ light, It represents renewal, a bursting forth into greater light. So let us prepare now for our visualization. I realize that not everyone is at ease with visualizing. Some of us feel things, some of us just sense things. But however you receive information is okay. And maybe you don't receive anything at all, and that's okay too. Just know that if you intend it, it is there. So if I ask you to imagine a brilliant ball of light above your head and you don't see it, feel it, or sense it, just say to yourself, I intend it to be there, and then trust that it is so. You can choose to believe it's there. So let us begin by focusing on our breathing. Noticing that with every in-breath, your body becomes more and more relaxed. And as you exhale, you release any tension still residing in your body. Do this for the next few minutes, just gently inhaling and exhaling, relaxing and releasing. Now, with a more focused attention, send the breath into your emotional body, which resides in the solar plexus. Feeling your emotions become still and calm, like a lake with no ripples. Finally, send the breath to the busy mind and ask that the mind become quiet and receptive as we proceed with our visualization. Now, I'd like you to imagine a radiant ball of light sitting right above your head. This is the light of your soul. Imagine now that energy from the crown is flowing through you and into the center of the earth. Feel your energy becoming solid and grounded as it connects to the mother. Next, I'd like you to imagine the light of the soul above your head, traveling upward to the spiritual realms. Allow the breath to travel from the point between your eyebrows into the center of your head, and then upward to the soul and beyond. Inward and upward. See now in your mind's eye how you are aligned and connected to heaven and earth. Know that you now have direct access to your higher wisdom, but also that you are fully tethered to the earth. Now let us send our invocative appeal upward to the great ones who reside in those spiritual realms. We ask that the energy of Easter, of resurrection, be poured out upon us at this time as an uplifting force. Let the forces of light bring illumination to humanity. Let the spirit of peace be spread abroad. May people of goodwill everywhere meet in a spirit of cooperation. May forgiveness on the part of every human be the keynote at this time. Let power attend the efforts of the great ones. So let it be, and help us to do our part. Focusing again on your alignment, feel the divine energy pouring into your being. Absorb that outpouring. Accept that blessing. Receive unto yourself renewal, the energy of new life and new strength. This great love heals and makes whole as it flows through your being. Now ask that this Christ-like energy settle in your heart. Feel your heart expand as it receives this sacred gift. It is a stimulating energy, activating and bringing us to greater life, illuminating the Christ-like energy already inherent in you. Feel this energy as it infuses your entire being, filling you with the light of the Christ. The light of the Christ has embraced you. The love of the Christ has uplifted you. The hope of the Christ renews you. Hear these words: I am at peace. And see an image of yourself as this radiant being of light. Imagine yourself walking through your day, radiating this light, touching everything and everyone you encounter with this light. Watch as this light transforms everything it touches. Imagine this light spreading throughout the planet, encircling the earth with its love, light, and power. Visualize this light as a healing force for all of humanity and the other kingdoms of nature, mineral, plant, and animal. Let us give thanks now for this special moment, this festival of Easter, of resurrection and renewal. Let us bless whatever is wanting to come forth within us this next month. Let us bless our courage to bring it forth, our daring. Let us renew our minds that they may be more perfect vessels for the soul's illumination. Let everything within us be resurrected, be made new, that we might be of greater service. And of course, I have to close with another poem. How the Light Comes by Jan Richardson. I cannot tell you how the light comes. What I know is that it is more ancient than imagining, that it travels across an astounding expanse to reach us, that it loves searching out what is hidden, what is lost, what is forgotten or in peril or in pain, that it has a fondness for the body, for finding its way toward flesh, for tracing the edges of form, for shining forth through the eye, the hand, the heart. I cannot tell you how the light comes, but that it does, and it will, that it works its way into the deepest dark that enfolds you. Though it may seem long ages in coming, or arrive in a shape you did not foresee. And so may we this day turn ourselves toward it. May we lift our faces to let it find us. May we bend our bodies to follow the arc that it makes. May we open more and open still to the blessed light that comes. Have a wonderful month, my friends, and go forth to radiate the Christ-like love that is in you. And please plan to join us for the Wesak Festival next month. Namaste. Just a minute, I have to stop the recording.